Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Welcome to the very next episode of How To. In today's installment, we're going to learn how to get started with string skipping and speed picking. Let's go. Roll credits. In just a second, you're going to hear me jam over the last part of Joe Satriani's song called Time. And in there, you're going to hear me demonstrate some string skipping and speed picking. After that, we're going to break down what I did, and I'm going to give you some tips and tricks to get started. All right, let's rock. What an amazing piece of music. Just a ton of fun to play over. And the beginning of that is just a really great example of the Phrygian mode, which one day I'm going to review and go over. And of course, the ending of it is just a stellar example of the Lydian mode. But yeah, what a really fun song. So let's talk about speed picking and string skipping. So instead of launching into a detailed analysis of mechanics and exercises and all of this, I'm just going to point you to a few people here in a minute, did that kind of thing, who I think give out pretty solid information and where I learned a lot from. But what I'm going to do now is just kind of tell you how I developed some of these things and some of the exercises, and then give you some of the exercises I use now to keep them in check. So about 5 or 6 years ago, I contacted Rick Graham and got some of his PDFs. And I learned this thing called pick planting. And really, you just set the pick on the string, you let it fall, and you let it float through. And there's some kind of mechanics involved, and also you should really learn that from him and his system, because that's his thing. So, anyways, ultimately, what it gave me was just really solid technique that is relaxed. There's really no tension, and it allowed me to do a whole lot of things. So within that, I also learned I can't just use one style of speed picking. I actually use about 3 or 4. One from the kind of slow tempos to the kind of 160, somewhere in there. I can use my wrist and my fingers like a scalpel, or a little bit of this wrist. Maybe from like 150, 140 to 190 in there. On 200, I'll tend to use my arm and elbow. And then from like 200 up at 16 notes, I use what's called serrate picking. Now, I make a lot of contact with the guitar at all times. I'm never up doing the butterfly thing. Even when I am doing serrate picking, the axis for me is down the back side of my arm. So when you do this, it can be off the guitar, but for me, I could never get the thing to stay quiet like you're supposed to be able to. Apparently, people do it. I've seen Eddie do it. I've also seen Michelangelo Basio do it. I can't do it. I've always had to do my best to keep it quiet, probably because my pick strokes were a little too loud and sloppy. So anyways, I do keep my fingers on pretty much braced here on the guitar, which is actually why I play flat tops for the most part. Now, when I do these things at a certain tempo, they're probably all going to look the same, but trust me, they feel totally different. Now, the first exercise I'll give you is just a single note string pattern. I'm going to also give you the Lydian mode. I'll just put up that graphic now. Tempo, here we go, yeah. Try and get good, really consistent tone. You don't want to tell if you're doing upstrokes or downstrokes. You should also start on upstrokes as well. Moving on up to like maybe 170, I'm going to have to use arm. Okay, and then if I'm going to go up to like a really ridiculous tempo like 215. That's where that serrate picking is going to come into play. The next one that I'm going to tell you to work on is just your regular pentatonic scale. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, and then back down. Down, up, down, up, down, up. You're going to notice that this is going to cause, on the ascending version, some inside picking problems, and on the descending version, it'll probably feel a whole lot looser because you're doing that nice outside picking. All right, and so for me, I can't really, if I'm going to shred this, I have to use arm. Remember, that's the hard one to stay relaxed on. The next one is the really, really fast pattern where we can... like, I just like the way it sounds melodically. When you ascend, you get outside picking, and then when you descend, you mostly get inside picking when you when you cross strings. That's how I tried to conquer those demons. Those are some of the scales that I still use. Okay, so other people you should check out, definitely check out Chris Brooks. If you want a good book, Neoclassical Speed Strategies for Guitar by Chris Brooks. Very accessible, really nice guy on Instagram. Just a killer guitar. This guy's amazing. All right, I love this book. Troy Grady, Cracking the Code. I think everybody probably knows him at this point. If you don't, you're in for a really wonderful surprise. And he's got some really great stuff on pick slanting and stuff that'll help you unlock some of this speed in terms of what we're talking about right now. And then also Ben Eller, he's been really great. I've watched him for a very long time, and he gives very good insight, especially to Troy Grady's Cracking the Code. But he'll show you some really, really cool stuff from a whole lot of different styles. So it's really, really neat. I'll leave links for all these guys down below. Okay, let's talk about string skipping. The first thing I'm going to say is if really you should check out Paul Gilbert. I'm going to leave a link for some tabs on one of his songs, but anything by him probably has a healthy amount of really awesome string skipping and especially speed picking. That guy is on top of his game, and he's been on top of the game for a very long time. And then I got some of my technique also from a guy and runs something called Basement Rockstar out of Burlington, which is like near Toronto, I think, in Canada. His name is Jeff Ainsworth. I'll leave a lesson that he teaches for something called Crazy Eights. You might have seen me use some of his stuff in the jam I did just a second ago. But anyways, you should. I'll leave a link for one of his videos, which I found really, really helpful a long time ago. Again, I'm just going over where I learned this stuff and where I found out about it. I'm gonna give you two very simple ideas when it comes to string skipping. The first one is we're gonna take our good old pentatonic scale, a G sharp minor pentatonic, and we're just gonna go through the strings: 6, 4, 5, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1. If you don't know the string numbers, they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, that's 6, 4, 5, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, and back. 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5, 4, 6. And then the other pattern that I'm going to show you is, let's call it now the B major, 3-note per string scale. I'm going to put that graphic up on the board now. Simple string skipping. So 6, 4, 5, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5, 4, 6. Okay. All right. So that's it. And you can see I'm just alternating everything. I took it really, really slow for a long time. Make it really, really clean. Now you take fragments or just pieces of these and you put them together. It's very simple. Let's start with our G sharp minor pentatonic scale. There's our full string skip. A fragment would be this. That kind of thing. And I'll use hybrid picking for this sometimes. All right, so that's taking a fragment and then turning it into a sequence, or just using it, repeating it over and over at different levels. And we just do the same thing with our scale here. So we have, well, on every string we have 9, 11. Right, and then something. Now these don't sound like much now, but when you play them over a backing track, like one I'm about to provide for you, you'll see. Same thing here. And now I'm going to be on the B and the D string. And then I just simply move this idea around. Into it too much, but just like easy stuff. All right, the scales that I just gave you a second ago on this graphic here will work really well with this backing track that I have here, so I'm also going to leave a link for that as well. Now that brings us to a close. Again, this wasn't supposed to be a super detailed version of how to string skip and how to speed pick. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of insight into how I develop my technique. So there'll be much more to come, but definitely check out the people I mentioned. Check out the links below, and then make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell. Always be excellent to each other, and party on.